Hi. So I wanted to give you a more complete explanation of a resource that I have posted on my website that is really a game changer in terms of helping us to learn how to become more intimate with ourselves and with others. And certainly not just our partners, our romantic partners, but also with a friend or with our children or with anybody. I have given this resource, this exercise to many of my clients and have used it myself. And it truly is very simple, but a very powerful practice. And it's been a game changer for so many. So, FANOS is an acronym that stands, FANOS, stands for feelings, appreciations or acknowledgments needs, ownership, self-care, and emotional sobriety. FANOS. And this exercise is explained on my website, as I said, but sometimes people need a little tweaking on being able to deepen the practice, because oftentimes folks will kind of stay at the more surface levels as they go through this, but can always go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so in the spirit of creating more safety and more intimacy and more connection, which is what most of us claim we really want, it's always nice to find ways to deepen this exercise. So first, I'd like you to practice it by yourself. So what I would recommend is practicing it in two ways. One, writing it down, and two, just talking it out loud with yourself, because you're going to access parts of yourself in different ways through writing versus speaking it. And kind of take the attitude on of, just being with yourself and not judging what you're saying, allowing yourself to be completely honest, and simply just witnessing what comes up without judgment, just listening to yourself. So you're gonna write down or speak all of your feelings in this moment. Now understand that you're gonna have feelings that are at the forefront of your mind and heart. But I want you to go deeper, and because pretty much every human being has every emotion available to them in every moment, if you are as present with yourself as you possibly can be. So for those of us who have a harder time connecting with ourselves emotionally, it's a good practice to say, you talk about I call them the primary colors of emotions: happy, sad, mad, scared. So what am I happy about? What am I mad about? What am I scared about? Happy, sad, and mad and scared. So kind of just make a list of and talk about or write about those things. Of course, if there's any other emotion that comes up for you, like I'm confused, that's really every other emotion that is out there. It will fall under one of those basic emotions. It's just a variation of that. So go ahead and just write those feelings out. Don't get into the full story about them, but write a little bit about what you're feeling sad about, what you're happy about, what is it that you're mad about. And just so you're acknowledging it, you're going inside your heart, you're checking all the corners and nooks and crannies in there, and putting it out there, because all of that is energy. And unless we're putting it out and releasing it, where does it go? It stays inside and builds up and comes out sideways toward ourselves or perhaps toward somebody else. So that's the F. A, appreciation or acknowledgement. So again, just sticking to a solo, as a solo exercise, you're going to think about what you appreciate about yourself. Now, sometimes we do that and it feels natural in a moment, but to really sit and be with oneself and to do an inventory of what you do appreciate, what you do need to acknowledge about yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of people are often beating themselves up, and we're not even connected with ourselves enough to realize that that voice is going on very often. So to put the effort into saying, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing well? And what do you like about yourself? What do you like about your body? What do you like about your personality? What do you like about how you show up? Appreciate. So write some appreciations down and feel it, and practice being open in your heart as you do that. And then I want you to go to the N. The N is needs. Acknowledging what your needs are. What do I need? Given all the feelings that I've just acknowledged, what are my needs? You know, and I want you to think about, you know, your needs, not necessarily in relationship to other people, but just what you need. I need to take myself off of the phone so that I'm not wasting time. I need to focus more on healthy food choices. I need a little bit more exercise. I need to go to bed early tonight. I need to be aware of that, you know, pressured voice in my mind that's always pushing me to do more, rather than to know that it's okay to stop and pause and read a book or just close my eyes. So just that section is just acknowledging that I am more than just this robot that much of our society promotes, to like just go out and do, get it done so that you can acquire and achieve and all that, and satisfy and people please and all that stuff. So that's the needs section. The O section is ownership. What do I have to take ownership? So this is the other side of the appreciations. It's like, how am I showing up in my life with myself and or others that I need to look at and say, oh, you know, I need to work on this. And so I need to own maybe my short temper, or my curt attitude with the customer service person on the phone. I need to acknowledge and own that sometimes I interrupt people when they speak often, and because I'm already, you know, answering them in my head rather than being present and just hearing them out and allowing them to feel heard. I need to take ownership that I'm, you know, maybe I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm harming myself, and really recognize what's happening there. So O is taking ownership. It can also be taking ownership in a specific relationship. I need to take ownership. I need to reach out to so-and-so and say, hey, I recognize I didn't follow through on that. I told you I would. Or I recognize that I haven't been communicative. I recognize that I said something hurtful, or, you know, what have you, or I must have maybe I disappointed you in some way. Taking ownership of how we do that to others as well as to ourselves. And the S is self-care and sobriety. Sobriety, there's lots of things that we can seek sobriety with, and ultimately the goal is emotional sobriety. And what I mean about emotional sobriety is the ability to really manage my emotions so that they're not in charge of me, and that I'm not riding this roller coaster, the loop-de-loop all the time of resentment and anger and fear, and that I know how to handle my emotions, and they're not pouring out of me at everyone or causing me to feel like I need to check out, numb out, detach, but that I'm in charge of my emotions and I know how to handle them. I know how to acknowledge that they're there when they show up and process them in a healthy way, not to ignore them or stuff them or spew them, but to handle them with mindfulness and kindness toward myself and others. So that's emotional sobriety. But we can also look at, if I'm not emotionally sober, I'm probably acting out in other ways. So I might, some people might drink more alcohol. Some people might stay in bed all day when they have obligations and responsibilities. Some people might eat too much. Some people might kind of walk around barking at people because they're irritable. That's not emotional sobriety. And we're looking for the ability to restrain those habits that we use as humans to numb out, check out, or release in an unhealthy manner. So the S is for sobriety. And of course, instead of doing those things, we want to be able to look at what are the things that we can do instead, which is the self-care. What can I do instead? Self-care things like, am I exercising? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating well? Am I sleeping well? Am I taking care of my body? Am I journaling? The practices that are actually necessary to live in this world with all the hubbub, and to be able to operate from an optimal, healthy place, mind, body, and spirit. The things that we need to do to take care of our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. So self-care, such as getting spiritual nourishment, that's self-care. Finding what is spiritual nourishment for me, because it might be different than what it is for someone else. How am I taking care of my mind? Am I giving my mind stimulation, the proper kind of stimulation, instead of checking out on the phone and on the computer and the internet and the social media? And am I learning how to manage my mind and control my mind? Meditation. So that is a practice of self-care and spiritual practice as well. And my body. We already named some of those self-care pieces. But the sky is the limit with self-care. So you can go ahead and add things that you do specifically, and maybe consider expanding your list of self-care. So that's something that you can do with yourself. Do it while you're driving in the car, just to check in with yourself, but also do it when you have some quiet, still time where you can really practice being with your heart and your body and your mind. And this creates intimacy with ourselves. Just acknowledging, don't we all want to feel heard and understood? We cannot, nor will we be able to feel like others are hearing us or being present with us until we do it for ourselves. Nor can we give it to other people until we do it for ourselves too. So that's how you do it with yourself. Then it'd be amazing to practice it with a partner. And so there's a little bit more to consider with that when you're practicing this with a partner. So basically, you have a speaker, a sharer, and a listener. The listener's role is to just listen and to not respond with any body language of approval or disapproval, just to be the receiver and the witness of what someone is sharing with you, to be fully present, to manage your own mind and impulses of your mind and body that may want to respond or react. Even like, oh, a pity face or just any expression that is, indicating some kind of judgment, even if it's a positive judgment or a compassionate judgment. Just be neutral and listen and let that person get comfortable with being that seen without reactions, that they're just being taken in and given the space to hold space for them. Do not say anything. The speaker is to go through FANOS from beginning to the end. And once done, the speaker will then say, I feel done, I'm complete. Afterwards, the listener doesn't need to respond to anything. Let it go, especially if this is something that you're doing with a family member, a partner. Let it go. Let that information that speaker just shared with you, let it just be there. We don't have to fix anything. We don't have to address anything. It's really just about practicing being heard and listening. And that, when we learn how to do that, because most of us don't know how to be a good listener, and most of us don't really know how to share fully and honestly. There's a lot of anxiety in that for people. So let it go and just say thank you for sharing. Then you switch roles. So then the listener now becomes the speaker or the person sharing, and the speaker now becomes the listener. And of course, the same process, the same rules apply in the alternative direction. So going through FANOS, and really doing that fully and completely. The listener is simply just listening, not making all kinds of body movements or gestures to indicate anything other than being fully present. That is so important. This is a step that is so powerful, to just be heard. If you are practicing this, and I give this exercise often with couples, if you are practicing this with a partner, over time, after you've gotten really good at listening, and you'll notice that you're probably not so good at it, which is why there's a lot of, conflict that can pop up for people, because they don't feel heard, they don't feel valued, they don't feel like their partner is giving them the space and the right to speak their feelings. P.S. The feelings are meant to be spoken just as sharing your feelings. And if you are doing this with a partner, it's not to say, hey, this is what I need from you, or I'm feeling like you're a jerk, or I'm feeling like you're not listening, that I'm feeling like it's not taking an opportunity to like point fingers. It's really to be vulnerable. So to really stick with the I'm just feeling sad, because, it's okay to say I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling disconnected in our relationship. So it's not to get into like the nitty gritty little daily maybe debates that we have or the arguments or things like that. It's just to pull out those emotions, share them, say a little bit about them, but not get into the full-on story, okay? And also know that all of the feelings sharing all of the feelings in this way can feel equally vulnerable to someone. I could feel vulnerable sharing my happy feelings with you, depending on what it is. So understand that as somebody is being, and you may notice this when you practice it with whomever, that there is a vulnerability in being seen and heard, though we all crave it. Many of us have had experiences where, number one, we never learned how to have that full experience. It was not perhaps modeled. Or number two, there could be like a fear of judgment because maybe we've attempted to, and then in that particular relationship with whomever we're partnering with in that exercise, that it's, maybe we've failed each other and have not have a list of resentments all built up and don't trust each other and haven't gone to deeper levels of intimacy with each other. So it's a valuable thing to do. Very valuable. So if you have questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out. I can't tell you how many people I've given this exercise to, and those who practice it in their marriages are the people that are mostly practicing it, and then people who are practicing it as a structure for their journaling or just to do check-ins, like a self-inventory, because this is really what this is. It's like, let me do a little inventory here. How am I doing? It is a game changer, and it really teaches us about ourselves and about others. It teaches us how to listen. It teaches us how to be honest. And it also teaches us how to be compassionate and not feel like we have to judge and assess and analyze everything, but to just show up and be and acknowledge and witness. So let me know how it goes for you. I find it to be a very powerful exercise, and I hope you will too. Have a great day.